Great job with that video.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Or should I say, ho, ho, ho. Welcome to the last show from PTZ Optics. Normally, we do this at the end of every month on the last Wednesday of every month, but next Wednesday is a special day. It's Christmas. So we didn't want to have a live show on Christmas. So here we are today, and we are joining you guys to ask you what you want to know. This is an AMA stream. I'm here with Paul. We are here to ask and receive all the questions that you guys want to know about PTZ Optics products or just any production questions you have, live streaming questions, anything you might have. So, welcome to the last show of the year. We're happy to have you. Don't forget, let us know where you're watching, and please reach out to me anytime. I'm the customer success manager here for PTZ Optics. If you guys have questions about our products or anything that we do here, I'm happy to talk and have a meeting with you. So feel free to scan that QR code if you ever want to chat with me about PTZ Optics or anything, or even just talk about what you do. I'm here to learn about any sort of workflow you guys might be using. So don't forget, this is a Q&A today. So if you guys have questions and want to ask us anything, we actually have a Zoom that you can scan that QR code and it'll take you directly to our Zoom meeting room. And of course, we love giveaways here. Every month we do a live show and give away one of our trusty Move SEs, which I have on this little table here, a little present. Inside of here is the Move SE that we'll be giving to you. So don't forget, we are going to do a giveaway, and that giveaway is a little bit different this time because we are going to do some trivia. So there's our Zoom for the Q&A, as Mike put up there. Next, we have a little game of trivia. So CrowdPurr is a great platform that we're using to do a little game of trivia. The fastest person to answer all 10 questions will be able to win the Move SE. So a little bit different than what we're used to. We usually do Gleam and you sign up beforehand, but you still have to be watching live. Don't forget, you need to be watching live and you need to be the fastest winner. Got to move it to win it. And we are also talking about our iOS app. We have a new update to our iOS app. It's exclusive on the Apple Store specifically, but stay tuned to that. We'll give you a little demo of the new app update. And then, of course, we have our beta group. If you guys are interested in testing out any new features, like we're currently testing voice tracking in our beta, you can learn more and access that great new feature at ptzoptics.com/beta. And then finally, but not least, we have an end of survey. We love talking to you guys. We love learning from you guys. So if you have questions, feedback, anything you want to send us or tell us directly, head into that description down below and you can enter our survey. It's simple, 10 questions. It won't take you longer than 3 minutes, I promise. And we'll use that feedback and hopefully develop great, awesome camera and camera features for you guys. So with that in mind, we do a little something here called Share Your Vision or hashtag Share Your Vision. If you're on platforms like Twitter or Facebook, use hashtag Share Your Vision and show us your setup. I want to see how you guys are using our cameras, our SuperJoy controller for your cameras, any sort of setup with PTZ Optics. We want to see it. If you use hashtag Share Your Vision, we will share it on the show. Like this instance from Big Oran Production, all the way from Paris. So all the way from France, we have them using a Move 4K and a SuperJoy controller connected to a Blackmagic switcher, and they were showing off a little conference from the Artificial Intelligence and the Digital Humanities Congress. So I thought a really cool use case of our cameras, and it's in this big, beautiful building in France. It's awesome to see our cameras go across the pond and into Europe. So don't forget, use hashtag ShareVision and show us how you're using our wonderful products. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Paul, who's going to tell you a little bit more about our new update to the iOS app.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We have a brand new update to our app, our iOS app. So we're going to jump right into this with my smartphone here. And I've got 2 cameras connected to my smartphone. I'm going to show you guys some of the new features that we have. So let's try to get rid of a little bit of that glare. There we go. And I have 2 cameras connected. When you first use the app, there's a little plus button here. And what that's going to do is it's going to search your network for PTZ Optics cameras. They've improved the searching capabilities over your local area network. If it doesn't find your camera, you can just add it manually right down here. And you can see Sony and Panasonic cameras are also supported here. But what we're going to do is jump into one of these ones that I already have. And I'm going to jump into the desk camera here by clicking the open button. And you'll be presented with several options. You have pan tilt zoom control, on screen display remote control, which allows you to get into some of the deeper menu controls. You have IEC, which stands for image, exposure, and color. So that is a valuable area there we'll take a peek at. The config setting just shows you all the settings on the camera. You can stream directly from this phone, and I want to show that as well as quickly access your camera's manual and the tutorials. So looking at the PTZ to start here, you will get a live video preview, and you can use your phone to control the pan tilt zoom of the camera. You can see I have it set to move kind of slowly here, but we can configure that for you so that you can control the camera remotely. So you'll see there that we have pan, tilt, and zoom. There's the zoom there, and then a focus knob as well. So you've got all those options right from your phone. This is wireless video directly to your smartphone. Now, if you want to switch cameras, you can go down to the button here and you can simply switch cameras, which is great. So I can switch between multiple cameras really easily, and you can only control one at a time, but you've got the ability to switch and control multiple cameras all wirelessly over the network. So really, really powerful tools. If you want to call a preset, you have this little preset tab in the bottom left here, and we can hit a preset. I'll call preset 1, and it'll move over to preset 1, and I have another preset here, preset 2. Now to set a preset, let's say I want to zoom in a little and set a new preset. All you have to do is click and hold, and you'll see you can either set, call, or rename. So let's say I want to set that preset, and I want to rename it. So instead of it just being preset number 3, I'll call it desk. And now, when I see that, I'm going to know it's the desk. So go back to preset 1, recall that preset desk that I just set here, and boom, you can easily call up to, I think this is like 7 or 8 presets here. You can make them bigger or larger, and that just makes it easier for you to control all these cameras. So you got your presets, your configuration, and let's go back and look at some of these other sections here. The OSD menu, if you're not familiar with that, that's the menu on the side of the camera. So this allows you to go into these settings and really adjust the iris, the shutter speed, the gain, things like that. So that's what this area does here, and it is helpful. You can also turn auto tracking on and off here. So a very easy way to quickly turn auto tracking on and off. Maybe we'll use that for our auto tracking demo.
Yeah, definitely.
This is the image settings. So if you want to just adjust the brightness, the shutter speed, the gain, you have all of those options here. And then I'm going to look at the streaming really quickly. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand with this is it automatically will pull Stream 2. And Stream 2 on your camera is really the low bit rate, the low resolution, yet high, usually low latency as well. So it's very quick to get to your phone. If you do that, you will be streaming basically the low resolution stream. And you might want to stream the 1080 or the 4K version of the stream. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to change that to stream 1. See it says stream 2 there? It's very, very small.
Yeah.
If it says /2, that means it's stream 2 and it's the low resolution stream. If you switch that to /1, that will be the high resolution stream. And people have asked me, why does my stream look so low resolution? It's not because the camera can't do it. It's because they're using stream 2, which is unfortunately the default for this. And I've asked our team to make that more clear so that stream 1 is at least an option that's easy to select, perhaps in the next update. And then you have your manual and your tutorial. So that is how this works. And it allows you to access multiple cameras, connect to as many as you'd like, and control them.
Yeah, PTZ cameras can be tricky for some people, especially when they're just getting started. They don't know where to start. They're like, how do I get used to this? You know, do I have to log in to an IP address? What is an IP address? It's a lot, especially if you're new. So we want to give you an option that's very easy, And don't forget the Android lovers, we're not forgetting about you. Next year we'll release a Android version. Thank you, Mike, for remembering we have a great giveaway. It's involving an awesome trivia game. Don't forget that. You can scan that QR code. I also saw some people mentioning in the chat about the Zoom room. So if you want to be on our live show and ask us questions directly, you don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want to. You can just be on voice only. But if you go into the link, we also have the link available, or you can scan that QR code there on the screen. Alrighty, so we want to show you guys a little bit of auto tracking since we were just, talking about that with our app and how you can now turn on automation. Don't forget, if you're using the iOS app, you can turn on automation, and that is for group framing if you're using that feature on the Move 4K. And it's also going to turn on just your standard auto tracking. Whatever you have currently set in the web UI will carry over into that iOS app. So you won't be able to switch it there. You'll just be able to turn on automation or turn it off. Paul, I'm curious since we didn't get too much to chat today. You got any fun Christmas plans? You going anywhere? Or your kids asking for anything funky this year?
Really excited for Christmas, obviously, on next Wednesday, 1 week from today. I will be hanging around this area and just enjoying it with my family at our home. And we've got a beautiful Christmas tree. So just keeping the kids keeping sane during the holidays with so many children running around is what I'll be doing.
Yeah, yeah, it's a busy time, with traveling, giving gifts for everyone. I'm gonna throw up a little bit of comments here because we're a little behind, so I want to show off. Yes, John, that's Danny DeVito in the corner. He's always our cameraman for the PTZ cameras whenever we have him. Let's see, who else do we have here? Oh, we got David shouting out.
Hi,
Good to see
David.
you, David. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Someone's asking about the code for CrowdPurr. You can access that in the link. It should take you right to the actual page. If you're having any issues and need to know the specific code, yep, there's Danny. There he is hiding in the corner there. If you need the actual code for the trivia game, it is XJKEJ. But don't forget, you'll have to stick around to the end of the show after our Q&A, and that's when we'll be doing the trivia game. Alrighty. Paul, are you ready to show off some auto tracking today?
Yes, I am.
Alrighty. So we have a series of cameras called the Move cameras, and we have the Move SE, which is standard edition, which is 1080 60 FPS. And that adds auto tracking, of course, but you're going to have less features. You're not going to have the expansive customization that you're going to have with our 4K camera, the Move 4K. So as you can see, we have a 12x camera here and a 20x camera of the Move SE. And I'm going to get up so we can show off some auto tracking between the two. Um,
Awesome. And I have in my NDI desktop capture, I just want to show how we're going to be triggering on and off auto
yeah,
tracking.
let's take a look at that, Paul. Maybe we should just look at the UI before we start doing anything. We'll maybe show off what the Move SE auto tracking looks like in the
Yeah, I think
UI.
it's worthwhile. So right here we have the controls for auto tracking. And this is on the Move SE. And so we're going to look at the Move SE and the Move 4K, knowing that the Move 4K has quite a few more features for auto tracking. It has more horsepower. It has a bigger CPU, I guess you could say, or more processing power. And you can see there's quite a few more options in here for controlling the auto tracking. And it really does make a difference when we start to use these.
Yeah, it's those customizations. So you'll see automation. You'll simply click that and turn on auto tracking. You have bounding boxes if you want to see your specific targets and select them individually, or you could use your keypad to switch between the two of them with a multi-target select. You also have composition, how you want to frame your tracker or your subject that you are tracking, whether left, right, or center, which is great for, graphics, lower thirds, anything like that. You also have the sensitivity, how fast your movements are, and your zoom level, basically how you want to frame the person being tracked. Do you want them in a close up, kind of head and shoulders, or do you want them to be completely in frame, full body? One of the coolest things, and I think one of the most popular features, and this is only for the Move 4K. Don't forget, all these features that we're showing off here, it's not on the Move SE, it's only on the Move 4K. And that's dynamic zoom. You're able to zoom in and control that zoom functionality while the auto tracking is enabled. You won't be able to do that on the Move SE. The Move SE will zoom in and out to follow your target.
So the other thing here, so if we jumping back and forth here between the Move SE and the Move 4K, on the Move SE side, we will be able to turn tracking on and off. Um, it will take 1 second to turn on, and we can choose whether we want to track now or track from a specific preset. So that's the basics of the Move SE. And I think over time, we're always updating the firmwares, and we're going to try to add as much as we possibly can to the Move SE. But that's what it can do now. And then you'll notice like another big one here, I don't remember mentioning this, is the auto framing.
Yeah.
So we can frame an entire group and essentially do like lock into a group and track them. So when we enable auto tracking on both of these cameras, I'm going to have multi-target select on. You might not want that on, but what it does is it's going to put a box over every single person that it sees, which is valuable, so that you can kind of, if there's 10 people in a space, you'll see a box over each person, and you can actually click the number of the person to specifically select that person. And then the dynamic zoom here, you're going to see quite a bit of a difference. So like if I start this one now and I hit start, I'm going to zoom out and hit start auto tracking so you guys can see this. If I start auto tracking, what you're going to see is you're going to see a box around John and a box around me. And what this does is it allows me to select either 1 or 2. And I'm going to select 2. I'm going to select John. By hitting preset 2, now I have selected John. Now, the other thing I can do here is I can zoom in. I have full control over the zoom level that this camera is going to zoom in on. So I've got him zoomed in at a pretty nice level there, and it's going to stay tracking on him. I can zoom out. I can zoom in. I can say I want a closer shot. I can do all of this dynamic zooming really easily with the Move 4K. Now, I'm going to do the same thing with the Move SE because we're going to do some comparisons here. So while we go over to the Move SE here and I hit apply and we start auto tracking on John, you'll see that it's going to auto track John and it's going to do a pretty good job, but it's not going to give me any controls over the zooming or the dynamic zooming. So this is the shot it's going to frame him in. And so now let's go ahead and look at the side-by-side mic so we can show the Move SE and the Move 4K. So now with the Move 4K, I can zoom in closer if I'd like and get a closer up shot depending on what I'd like. But with the Move SE, this is what we get. It's locked in. Now, hopefully over time, we might be able to add some of these new features in, but that's essentially how this works. With the Move 4K, we have the ability to do those really nice close-ups and keep John in frame no matter what. Now, if we wanted to zoom out, for example, that's another thing we can do. So I can have a really wide shot of John. And you might want that for like sports, for example, where, you want to give space for the play to develop, or you want people to be able to see a large space behind John so that you can see the presentation area. So just giving you some examples of the differences between the Move SE and the Move 4K when it comes to auto tracking and also auto framing, a new feature that is only available in the 4K. And it's likely that the 4K will always have, basically more control, more capabilities than the SE, just because it has more processing power to do this. So you can see there really tight shots. And I love that tight shot. In fact, right now we have the tracking sensitivity at medium. I love these like really tight shots, John, like for like a podcast. If I would honestly turn the tracking sensitivity to low, and I'm going to change that now. So if you just make subtle adjustments and you're moving around during a podcast, the camera will make subtle movements.
Yeah, I think it's perfect to even have two Move 4Ks right next to each other. I mean, why not use two of them together? You could have a full body if you want to switch between that. If you want to go to your head and shoulders like I'm in now, you can easily switch and cut to that directly and kind of switch between the two. there's a cool feature which we won't show off right now because you'll have to set a lot of presets beforehand. But you noticed it in the very beginning of our video when we were showing off the Lego set there. The camera was moving around through presets. That was all done not manually, but automatically because of the preset tour that we have. So only on the Move 4K can you set a bunch of presets up and then it'll automatically cycle through all those presets that you've selected. So that's another exclusive feature that we were showing off. And that's also how we were doing the time lapse as well in the Lego opening video that I hope you guys enjoyed. Bring a little holiday spirit into everyone's lives here. Already, so we also we have a voice tracking option as well. Oh, thanks, Mike, for showing off the adorable little holiday set here. So we also have great new features that are in beta, which are only coming to the Move 4K currently, which is voice tracking. So if you want the ability to switch between presets based on the voice in a room with a connected supported microphone, or you could use a multi-camera setup and have the camera switch which camera preset based on who's in what zone of the room. So there's a list of supported microphones. Go to ptzoptics.com/beta to learn more about voice tracking and all the great new beta features that we're adding. Alrighty, Paul, are we forgetting anything else about auto tracking? I feel like we hit on the major
Yeah, I
features
think
here.
I think we hit on a lot of that there. We didn't have a lot of people in the space, and that is interesting. These cameras really can do big things
Yeah.
in large spaces. I was tracking some sports players where there were 20 or 30 of them in the same space, and it was really interesting. I could pick the one I wanted to track. So it's really cool. Try it out, but just know the Move 4K has more processing power, better ability to really control the framing and composition. So with that being said, we can go to the Ask Me Anything 10-minute segment we have here. Any questions on YouTube or Zoom, feel free to let us know. In the YouTube's description, you can join the Zoom meeting and literally chat with us and ask questions. And in the Zoom meeting, I really highly suggest you guys join the Zoom meeting because that's going to give you the lowest latency view of the trivia questions. And I believe, John, that the faster you answer the trivia questions,
That's right. Yeah, it's Move It to Win the Move SE. So the faster you answer these trivia questions, the faster you'll be winning the Move SE. So it's only 10 questions, so we'll go very quickly. So you want to make sure you stay tuned until after our Q&A here. Make sure you hop into the description if you want to join the Zoom. We'll gladly bring you on and show you on camera to ask your question. But if that's not something you're interested in, throw all the questions you have in the chat down below. I'll try to throw up in between our Q&As. All right, we're going to get the Zoom up and rolling here on our end. Let's see. We have a question here. First, right out the bat. Any plans for a 4K Studio Pro?
we
Good
do.
question.
We just announced a Studio 4K camera, and it is on our website.
Yeah, you can go check that out. I believe it's ptzoptics.com/studio 4K is the URL. If you head to that, if not, you can drop down on our camera page and you'll see all the you'll see the 4K studio there.
And the nice thing about having a 4K Studio Pro is once you start using 4K video, even if you're connected to 1080p video equipment, 4K sensors are larger. They're better in low light. They look better even if you are using a 1080p video output. If you're recording in 4K, it gives you a lot more flexibility in post-production where you can do punch-ins, and it gives you more resolution to work with. It does use bigger video files, so the file sizes are bigger.
Definitely.
And if you're going to do a true 4K production live and recorded, you need to have that type of equipment. But you can still use 4K cameras with 1080p equipment, so it future-proofs your technology stack if you start to use 4K cameras.
Yeah, the 4K Studio has the same sensor as the Move 4K. So if you're worried about color correction, switching between a PTZ camera and your more stationary camera or a fixed camera, then I think the Studio 4K is the perfect option for you. You can throw that in with 3 PTZ cameras for your stationary shot if it's a podium or maybe like a drummer or instrumental that you want to just always know that there's someone going to be right there on the stage. It's perfect for you. So take a look at the Studio 4K that will be coming very soon next year. So stay tuned for that. That could be your Christmas gift next year. We'll see. Alrighty, how's that Zoom looking? Oh, we have
I think
someone
we're
joining.
set unless there's some other questions.
No, there's no other questions here. Let's see if we have any Zoom questions here.
Um,
I have a Zoom question.
let us.
Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
we can hear
We
you.
can hear you on our end.
Okay, this is good. I have some confusion about how presets actually work from the sense of what gets stored in each preset. My application is at church. We do a live stream with two PTZ cameras and an operated camera is the third one. And so the presets I have set up for a tight shot of the altar, tight shot of a pulpit, that sort of thing. So the operator could just zoom the camera over to there. Now, if I'm diddling with manual focus or maybe color temperature and I change preset, it looks like the preset is storing what the color temperature was. And it does, that stuff doesn't copy over from preset to preset. And I'm using the presets basically as positional information. It seems that I'm getting a lot more stuff stored. So
Yes.
if the sun comes out and I see all of a sudden I have to mess with the uh, iris or something like that, switch to a new preset, I've got to mess with the iris again on the second preset. But
Yep, that's exactly what's happening. And we know that this is confusing. And I've brought this up to the engineers, and they are working on this because, um, you know, in a lot of professional environments, they actually can store the PTZ positional information with the color information, exposure information. So when you save a preset, it's saving the color and the positional information. So when you recall a preset and you've changed it, it'll go back to the original color information. I've asked the engineers to find a way to disable that so that it doesn't mess up a production.
now,
Yeah,
along with that, if you don't mind my asking a follow-up,
of course.
using the on-screen display to go right and get the data from the camera to adjust exposure or what have you. Is that any different or a higher priority than if I set it up on the joystick controller instead of going to the on-screen display to do it?
You can call a preset through the on-screen display menu.
No, no. If I open the on-screen display and I say I'm going to use, pick something,
Exposure.
exposure, whatever, and close that, then I go back to my production. Then if I go to the joystick controller and adjust the exposure, the fact that I set it initially in the camera, that doesn't override anything that's local, does it? That's not a higher priority setting.
No, so the joystick itself will query the camera.
Okay.
So when you connect to the camera, it's going to say, "Hey, what are your settings?" and it'll pull them in. When you save a preset, it's saving the position, the color, the exposure, all of those things. And then when you recall it, it's recalling all of those, not just the positional
Mhm.
information. So every time you save a preset, you are saving all of the information to that preset and resetting it all when you call it.
Well, that's what my observation has been. So if my problem with my church, it's got lots of windows. So the exposures changes when the sun's out or it's an evening service, day service, whatever. So I always have to go through and reset exposures and everything. So since I'm usually using 6 presets, I would set the camera on whatever I want, set my exposures in preset 1, then manually move the camera to my location 2, which keeps the exposure the same, then save that as preset 2. So the only thing that's different would be the positional information and have to go through each preset before the service to make sure it's the same as long as the sun doesn't go back in.
Yeah, and I totally understand your concern.
Yeah.
And John, we have to go back and ask the engineers to listen to this again. We understand that that's tedious for you to have
For
to
sure.
every time the exposure changes, you have to go back and reset every single preset. It's honestly, I think it's unrealistic, honestly.
Yeah.
to ask someone to do that.
It's more for a controlled environment. Like it's not an issue for us here in the studio because we have the same
Oh,
lights.
for
There's
sure.
no windows. It's a controlled environment. Yeah. So when you're dealing with a space with a lot of windows, those it's constantly going to change, right? So yeah, I think the custom ability to be able to turn that off and control the presets even more granular, it's going to be
Yeah,
huge.
and I
Yeah.
just know that
Uh,
they know this is an issue. They are looking into it, and we hope to have some type of toggle where, because some people just understand, some people do want that. Some people
mhm.
want to have a preset that it'll take the camera to a position and turn it to, low light for a candlelight service, so they can quickly
Right.
switch between exposure and positions. But from what I'm hearing from our customers and from you, is that for the majority of the time, it's actually confusing to have all the colors change when you do a preset change. I think that's what you're
Thank you
saying.
very much. That answered the whole thing. Mm.
Thank you. Paul, we have a couple questions here from the chat if I can throw them up here. Paul, is there any way we could bring up the Zoom on your computer there so Mike could cut to any of
Yeah,
the speakers if they're on
sure.
camera here as well? Alrighty. So someone asked a question that we already answered, but of course, I'm going to throw it up there. Albert, do you have auto tracking with PTZ Optics cameras? So if you scroll back about 10, 15 minutes, we did a little demo of our Move 4K, which has advanced auto tracking, and then our Move SE, which has auto tracking with some less features than you'll see on the 4K. So thank you, Albert. Let's see what else we have. Okay, I think that's it for the chat right now. Remember, we're taking questions from our live chat, or if you go into the description, you can join our Zoom lobby and we'll bring you on and you can ask any questions there as well. So
Did you
let's
not
take
see
it.
my question?
Oh, sorry. You have this is a question in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, the question was, will you consider making a camera with a 1-inch sensor?
We are looking into that. I think we'll probably see something next year.
Yes, very soon. That is something that we're taking very seriously. We want to, offer cameras for everyone, right? So whether it's the Move SE, we're offering a really affordable option, or an option that will really go against some of those top leading PTZ cameras that we're looking to crush the market over. So keep an eye out next year. Keep your eyes out for us. And if you have any specific features that you're looking for from a camera with a 1-inch sensor, let us know. And we can always set up a meeting, and I would happy to chat with you to take any other questions you might have.
Thank you.
It looks like there's a question about controlling PTZ Optics cameras with the YOLO Box Ultra. I have by the way, the YOLO Box Ultra is not out yet. I am looking forward to getting that. That is a 4K 60. I think it's an 8-input HDMI video
Interesting.
switcher. So I'm looking forward to getting the YOLO Box Ultra. The YOLO Box Pro, which I have, does work for PTZ camera control with PTZ Optics cameras. I've tested it. So yes, the YOLO Box and the Magewell Director Mini are two really nice new control systems that are video switchers and recording devices that are really small and easy to use, touchscreens, and they are able to control PTZ Optics cameras.
Is the YOLO box cheaper than the Magewell Mini Director?
The YOLO Box is a little cheaper, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering because feel like I've seen a lot more of these come onto the market, and they all are similar. They have a similar build quality to them, but they're so convenient for on-the-go use like that.
Yeah.
And you've been using them for all these great sporting events, outdoors events, even your kids' soccer game. You've been Mr. Producer lately, Paul. You've been running
I'm
around
a
like crazy.
big fan of these little touchscreens because laptops are, while they're great, they take a lot of power and the batteries don't last when you're using them in streaming and recording modes. So these little touchscreen devices are so small, and there's already so much complicated stuff going on
Yeah.
that to simplify the streaming box, I think is a big win for everybody in this industry.
Yeah, I remember when you were stuck to having a huge, massive PC and that was your only option and you couldn't move anywhere. Now you can basically take an iPad on the go or what is the same size as an iPad and get a great production, 4K, 60 FPS. Yeah. We're looking forward to that a lot. They've become really handy for when we're on the go. Oh, here we have from Denise. I love my Director Mini. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I
Oh,
have a
Dennis,
Director
thank
Mini
you.
too. I love it. It's got I think you can do 2 HDMIs at 1080/60 and 3 additional NDI streams. So 5 cameras. They do instant replay, video recording, ISO recordings. They're great.
Hey, got a question for y'all.
Sure.
Okay, I use the I'm working with a church that uses y'all cameras. How do you set it on manual focus so when you're doing a slow zoom out, it doesn't just automatically just go get blurry?
Interesting. Okay, so just manual focus on our cameras. Do you want to, Paul? Do you have a web UI still open there, Paul?
Yeah, I can open up the web UI and show this. So a couple things here on this. The nice thing too is when you set a preset, it also is saving focus.
Mm.
So if we go into speed here, there's a zoom speed. Let me make sure this is clear. There's a speed for zoom, which is right here. And there is a snap focus manual focus option as well. So the question is to make sure that we are on. Usually the cameras perform best on autofocus. So I'm just going to show it on autofocus real quick with
Now this is a older PTZ camera, optics camera.
okay,
Probably
so
a
it
Gen
This
doesn't have
2.
isn't the move. This isn't the Move SE.
okay. Do we have one of the older cameras
Not
available, John?
connected at the moment, no.
We have to remember to keep one of the Gen 2s connected so I can use that for demonstration purposes.
Now, is there a manual zoom setting in the OSD menu?
Yes, and also, by the way, the IR remote has not changed. So on the IR remote, you'll notice there's a slow zoom and a fast zoom. So, and there's also the auto and manual focus buttons at the bottom. Mike, I don't know if this would come through on that camera you were using for, here we go. Nice. So on the bottom here, one of the things you'll notice there's the autofocus button, and then you have manual, and then you have the near and far, and then you have zooming slowly and zooming fast. So it sounds like what you want to do is you want to zoom out slowly, Ryan?
Yeah, so I'm using the joystick. So I'm working with the church, and usually I try to get like close up on one of the background singers and slowly zoom out, which is fine, works great. But the only problem I have is it just all of a sudden, as I'm zooming out, the focus just goes complete blurry where you can't even make out the image anymore.
Okay. So what happens a lot of times with these cameras, you're saying my guess, if you have one of the older cameras, it could be 5 years old, it could be 7 years old, it could be 10 years old. We've been in business for 10 years. What you can do is you can do a focus calibration, which it sounds like is what you need. And I believe our new app offers that, makes it really easy to do that.
Yep.
But just if you want some support, just call our support team. Tell them you believe that you should do a focus recalibration. Sometimes the camera gets hit, it gets nudged. Sometimes the camera's next to a subwoofer and the wall is literally vibrating a bunch. And over 5 years, it sounds like the focus calibration is just off a little bit. So just you go through the steps on our website to recalibrate the focus on your camera, and then it should stay in focus the entire time you're zooming out. My other recommendation would be to reduce the speed of the zoom so that you're zooming
And
more
that's
slowly.
what I've done. Like I've done a really slow zoom, and all of a sudden the image just went from clear to like can't even make out the image. Like that much out of focus.
Well, then I wonder if you had focus lock on, because that's what happens if you're locked into a specific spot and you zoom out and the focus is locked. It'll really lose focus. So check
So
your
you
focus
saying
locks.
don't use? I thought focus lock was like it locked the focus so that way it never changes focus at all no matter what you do.
So that is actually incorrect. Okay. So what focus lock does is it locks the focus at the zoom level you're in currently. So as soon as you start zooming, it will go out of focus. That is actually confusing. And I think that maybe we should put the autofocus button on the left and the lock button maybe on the right to show that. But autofocus, when you click that, it'll be in autofocus mode. When you click lock, you're locking it in just to that one level, so that way, if somebody walks in front of the, it won't autofocus on someone in front. It'll stay locked on that plane. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And then also is with manual focus, I know with a lot of cameras, if you use manual focus and you zoom all the way in on an object, focus it, then your focus is good no matter how far zoom in or out you are. Does that work the same way with y'all cameras?
Yes, but you don't want to use the focus lock. You want to use the autofocus. So the autofocus is what you want to be on. And if you hit the autofocus lock, you need to unlock the autofocus. So the autofocus lock is only when you've zoomed into something and you lock it, so that nothing walking in front of that the autofocus will not get triggered because it's not on. It's locked.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yep. And then when you have it in autofocus mode, then you can go ahead and zoom out and it should stay in focus. But still, I would recommend potentially doing, if that's not what you're experiencing, then try a recalibration. It's called the focus calibration tool.
Okay, I will look at that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Stick
thank
around
you.
for the giveaway. Maybe you'll
Yeah,
get a
stick
brand new
around
Move
for our
SE.
Oh, I'm gonna be here
giveaway.
definitely.
I'm glad you're in the Zoom because that's going to get you the lowest latency connection to our
Me
CrowdPurr.
too.
Well, thank you so much. We have another question here from the chat, and I'm actually really curious. Paul, you're Mr. NDI, so I'm curious what you think of this. Dave asks, when you mix inputs like HDMI and NDI, how do you sync the audio to match the video?
Ooh, that's a great question. Here's what I do. And this is, there's a couple things you can do. We actually have an audio and video syncing tool that you can use and the way that works is essentially, if you have two cameras and you think they're out of sync, you can zoom them both into something that is going to show a clock, or something moving left to right. And we have an audio video sync tool that you can look up online, and you can put it on a television, and you can put both cameras on it and then record those cameras and match them up and see exactly the difference in latency. What you can do, the easiest thing to do is to add delay to the audio. And I personally like to add 25 milliseconds of audio at a time. Now with NDI, I've generally noticed that about 60 to 80 milliseconds of latency is what our production needs to really sync up all of the audio and video together perfectly. Audio and video, audio is a lot faster than video. It's a lot lower bit rate, right? It's a lot faster to send over to your network for your computer to decompress and record and stream. So generally, we add latency to the audio. If the HDMI and NDI are out of sorts, they're really far off, you might want to consider only using the HDMI example depends on the production, but like if you can use let's say the NDI is a little bit more latency than the HDMI, which is probably the case.
Yeah, sure.
It could go either way, really, depending. Try using the NDI video sources for your wide shots, for the shots that you're not doing lip sync, where it wouldn't be as dramatic. It's really dramatic when you're zoomed in, like at a church service where there's like bells or a gong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like then it's very noticeable.
Yep.
But if you zoom the NDI source out, let's say the NDI one is the one that's giving you the problems, zoom it out and use your HDMIs for the close-ups. If you can't seem to fix the problem, that's like a practical tip. But ideally, HDMI and NDI are very close, and it's the audio that really needs a little bit of delay.
Thank you, Paul. And let's go to the Zoom room. I just want to make sure that we're not skipping over anyone. If anyone has a question in Zoom, let us know. If not, we'll go jump to the chat because there's plenty to pull from there.
Well, I had one. I have one comment about the audio delay. I see that thing myself. I've come up with an easy way to do it. I use one of the little pocket electronic metronomes that the musicians would use that gives you a flashing LED as well as the tick. And I stick that up on the altar, zoom right in on it, and make sure I hear the tick the same time I see the LED flash. And I'm getting about 80 milliseconds to get them in sync.
Are you using a digital pocket metronome or a?
Yes,
Okay.
plain
So,
old
so
everyday digital metronome.
and it gives you a um, visual of
Yes,
the time.
there's an
That's a great
LED.
idea.
Yeah, there's an LED, plus you have the speaker. Of course, you can turn the speaker off for a performance, but when you have the speaker in it on, you can hear the tick and see it at the exact same time.
Wow. I am going to get one of those so that I can have that for that type of testing. That's a great idea.
Mhm.
Thank you. That's a great tip. Alrighty. If no one else from Zoom, we have a pretty basic question here for you, Paul. I called you Mr. NDI. I could call you Mr. OBS now.
Okay.
Paul's written a book on both NDI and OBS. If you're interested in those, you can find those by Googling that. Sorry, I don't know the exact URL for those, but Lost Wire Glenn asks, can I program presets through OBS and how? So we have a plugin, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, for OBS to control our cameras. And you can also set presets directly in OBS as well. We use vmix for our show here, but we're going to switch over to Paul's screen here to show you his OBS setup so we can answer your question, Glenn.
Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to bring up an OBS. Always happy to do this. This is OBS. Looks like we have our little Lego camera connected here. And OBS has a plugin, and it also has a web controller to control PTZOptics cameras. Now, with the web controller, you have to put in the IP address of the camera and hit reload and done. And I have noticed just with the web controller, you have to open and close OBS one time just to reload it. I don't believe that's true with the actual plugin itself, but you can see here, I can now control the camera with OBS. Now, what we'll do, this will be fun because this is like kind of interesting. Maybe we'll try to get Santa Claus here. But you can see get Santa Claus up there and a little bit more view. And what we'll do is we'll hit assign preset, 1, done. And then we'll pan down to the festive man down here. And then we'll assign preset 2 and done. And then when I click preset 1, it's going to go up to where it was. And when I hit preset 2, it's going to go down to preset 2. Now, the other thing about this controller, and I haven't done a video on this in a very, very long time, but basically this controller is available at this location on my desktop. So the reason why I want to show that is because you have the ability to change the images that are shown. So if you see these images right here, these are the images that are being shown in here. So if you want images shown on those top 6, all you have to do is replace those. If you really want, the podium, we have the microphone, we have a table, etc., you can change all of that by replacing the images. But that is how you can set and call presets inside of OBS.
Thank you, Paul. That was really, really helpful. So I wanted to throw this question really quickly up from David Peltz, who mentioned that we're showing the web UI a lot. And he asked if we should be using the web UI over the CMP. And then Jonathan, our wonderful product engineer, threw up an answer to his question. Not the full answer, but I can kind of elaborate on this. So he said that the web UI is a great place to make changes to a single camera. And the CMP is great for multiple cameras. If you're managing multiple cameras and want to kind of switch easily between them, the CMP might be for you. If you're also using an older camera, not the Move SE or the Move 4K, our Generation 1 or specifically our Generation 2 cameras, you might want to try auto tracking, and that's only going to be possible inside the CMP. So there are certain reasons to use one or the other. I think personally, Mike, as the producer here, likes to use the web UI. Same with Paul. But there's also a lot of great use of the CMP when it comes to color correction and managing a lot of cameras at one time. So I would recommend checking out both and really just seeing what works best for you. Oh, thank you, Mike. He uses the web UI every single day. Thank you for that, Mr. Mike, producer in the back. Appreciate all your hard work that you've done this past year to get us through each show. Thank you, sir. Captain, my captain. Alrighty, let's go back to the Zoom room. Is there anyone on air that would like to ask a question for us?
Oh, Tom's got the metronome right there. Very nice to have that there. Thank you, Tom.
Hey, Paul, I got a question.
Yeah.
Hey, so I know you said you don't have any G2 cameras hooked up, so I don't expect you to be able to pull up the web UI or anything, but on the top of your head, is there something in the settings? Because I have two G2 cameras running RTSP stream, and I'm trying to run my audio to the camera and trying to get my audio and video synced up. But when I add the audio source to OBS, it is real robotic and like 3 minutes behind. Is there anything that I'm missing that you can think of?
So he's running it
I
through
got
the
the-
camera.
So is the
So the
audio
line
level itself okay?
Yeah, I believe so. It's coming. I got it coming out of my audio interface from there, just straight to the back of the camera. It's really odd. I've never seen it or heard of it. So
Does it happen with both cameras? Have you tried lining it into one or the other camera?
I have not. I've not tried the other camera.
Okay,
I could try that probably this evening.
Yeah, that might be worth checking because those cameras still might be in warranty. If it is a hardware issue with the line-in input, it would be easy to test with the other camera. I would say if the other camera isn't having an issue, then I would contact support and see if there's an actual hardware issue with that line-in input.
Yeah, because that's a lot of latency to be seeing. It is possible though that are you using OBS?
Yes.
I wonder if your OBS settings is creating a buffer. And so let's look at OBS together really quickly. And are you using NDI or using RTSP?
RTSP. I got G2 cameras. Can I apply NDI to that?
There is
Or
you can get a license to add NDI to a G2 camera. So I'd be
Okay.
interested to see if that fixes it. But with RTSP, like, and I'll just give you an example here. So this is an NDI camera right here, and this exact same camera we can connect to the RTSP video. And I would definitely call our team on this one too, because they can help you optimize the RTSP video to potentially reduce the latency down to, a very small amount. I believe that is the RTSP stream. Let's just do /1 here. Now, one of the things you'll see when you are adding a video source via RTSP to OBS is that there's a network buffer. And the buffer, you probably want to turn that down all the way. Use hardware decoding when available. Just as a couple things to check out.
I got the reconnect delay all the way down and the network buffering all the way down.
Okay. So you have those down. And the other thing I would check, and it would be worth talking to the support team about this, but the other thing I would check would be the RTSP settings on the camera. And they're going to give you some options. There's a couple other small things to check in OBS as well, such as in the advanced section, there is a network area where you can bind to the Ethernet. Make sure you're not on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So check that and bind to the Ethernet, because the hardwired Ethernet is where the camera is connected to. As soon as you start going over Wi-Fi, that can be a problem. You can increase the process priority, but check out the streaming information, the streaming settings on the camera with our support team, and see if they can help you improve the latency. Because, for
Okay.
example, there's something called constant bitrate. And if it's set on variable bitrate, the latency can be kind of going up and down, whereas constant bitrate might be the fix there.
Okay. I'll check that out. Thank you, Paul.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you for
problem.
that
Thanks,
great
Tyler.
question. Let me check our chat here, see if there's anything I'm missing. There was a correction for David Peltz. You have the YOLO Box Extreme, or you have the Ultra. The YOLO Box Extreme is the
Oh, Yellow Box
4K
Extreme is the one
60
we're looking for.
coming
Okay.
out soon. So I wanted to shout that out before we got too far out of the weeds there. I don't think there's anything jumping. I'm gonna go back to see if there's anything previously that we might have missed.
I've got a question on the Move 4K.
Yeah, shoot.
I've got that tied into a SuperJoy, 30 times lens. When I'm zoomed all the way into the podium, it's well, as you can imagine. And I've got SuperJoy punched as slow as I possibly can go, and it's still too fast to try and pan that live. Is there any way I can slow it down even more?
So you have the pan and the tilt as down as low as you possibly can, and it's still too fast.
Yeah, it's on 1.
The only thing you could probably do now, there is a setting called speed by zoom, but still, I think the best thing to do would be to zoom out and then pan.
Yeah, there's not much you can slow it, but we do take in that feedback. I know that's not something that we've only heard once or twice. That's definitely something people want. Slower movements, whether it's panning or tilting or zooming, people want as slow as physically possible. So our product team's always listening. That's something they're working on for future firmware so that we can have some really slow and smooth pan, tilts, and zooming options for you guys.
Yeah, because I've got it on a preset, and I'll zoom it in, and when someone walks up to the podium, if they're not quite where I need them to be, and I'm live with the camera, I'm going, oh great, now I need to sneak it over to the left, and that's really really hard to do.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to jump on the fly, and some people will switch between two cameras to cover a zoom, or some people rely on that full zoom for that kind of cinematic effect. We're working on digital tools like the Hive software that allow for more cinematic movements with our cameras, and like I said, our engineer team's always trying to get better movements from the pan, tilt, and zoom options. So we're taking that feedback in, and hopefully with future firmware updates, we can really dial that in, give you more settings to play around with.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. We have a question here from St. Anne's Catholic Community, which is some of the PTZ cameras have a 3.5 millimeter mic input. What mic do you guys recommend I can use?
Oh, that's a good question. I've been wanting to create a recommended list of
Yeah.
microphones, but since we don't have that handy, what you're looking for is a line level microphone. And in general, that means that the microphone has a little power, whether that power be coming from a powered amplifier or a preamp or a battery inside of a microphone. Believe it or not, like the Rode microphones that we've used many times have a little battery inside. You see a little light on the back, and that's because it's powered, so the signal is strong enough to send a strong signal into the camera. If it's a mic level, it even says on the camera, line in, meaning line level. If it's mic level, it's just a microphone, it's not powered, it's not going to send strong enough signal into the camera to work. So it could be an audio mixer, it could be a microphone, it just needs to be a powered microphone with either a preamp or a battery.
Yeah, there's a lot of different choices when it comes to microphones. It kind of depends on your setup and where you're kind of located, how far you want the mic to be, how close you are to the camera, and how long of a 3.5 millimeter cable you might have. Some people I've seen run hundreds and hundreds of feet to try to get a mic across an entire room. We have a question here about where to find the OBS plugin. So I'm going to throw that into the chat here. Alrighty, so I'm going to send this here where he asks, where can I download the PTZ OBS controller? And that's a great question. I threw it in the chat here. You can find that at ptzoptics.com/OBS-plugin. Alrighty, we have a general question, and this is perfect for Paul, who is just looking at a lot of lacrosse players on the field, and he also is Mr. NDI. So RJ Lacrosse Videos asks, what's the difference between NDI HX2 and NDI HX3? So for more context, we showed off the Move SE, which is NDI HX2, and our Move 4K, which is NDI HX3.
So that's a standard that comes from NDI, and it has to do with low latency video at 60 frames a second, generally speaking. So it's a really high end, high standard for sports and for high production, high quality productions. So that is something that our team works with NDI to get approved for that. And as John said, like the Move 4K camera, and we can take a peek at this. In a good way to show this is actually in the camera menu. You'll see here that there's video templates for NDI HX3 right here. And you'll see that, for example, there's one for H.264 at 1080p at 60 frames a second. And there's one for H.265 at 1080p at 60 frames a second. Now, what you'll see is on the Move SE, for example, there will be a video template. Oh, this Move SE needs to have the firmware updated,
which doesn't have NDI currently.
The NDI on it. Now, if you go to check firmware, oh, it says firmware's up to date. I wonder why it's not showing the video template for NDI. Don't know. But they're basically templates for NDI video templates. It's kind of like a standard for quality.
Alrighty. Thank you, Paul. We have a question here, and I'm not sure the exact context, but I'll try. Nicholas asks, any plans to add framing option changes to the Move 4K using the API? So we talked about auto tracking earlier, and there's composition options, whether you want to align your tracking subject on the left side of the frame, the right, or the center. There's also zoom modes as well. So if you want like a close-up shot, a full frame, or a medium shot while you're tracking. So I'm not quite sure if that's what Nicholas is referring to, auto tracking specifically, and whether we'll make that into an API. John is in the chat as well, so let's see. Oh, thank you so much, Mike, who just threw that comment up there. And John says, we're planning on updating the auto framing API along with the API for the other missing auto tracking options. So thank you, Jonathan. And Nicholas, if that's what you're referring to, I hope that helps answer your question. If not, throw in another question. We'll keep talking. And on the NDI option here, the HX3 spec is a higher bit rate of around 42 megabytes per second over the HX2 option. So if you're looking for that higher bit rate option, you're looking for that 4K 60 FPS, check out the Move 4K, which will give you everything that you want. If you're okay with HX2, 1080p streams, check out that Move SE. You are absolutely welcome, Nicholas, of course, anytime.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure. Shoot.
Yeah, I don't think my chat's working. I'd put it in a while ago. So, small church, we're using one PTZ camera. It's an got it in 2022, so it's an NDI, but might need to go to 2. So I'm looking for what inexpensive switcher and option, and again, we don't have a lot of people, so it needs to be, it won't be like manned by a single person. It'll be somebody else that's back there, either our slide person or maybe our board person or whatever.
Okay. So maybe we could try to give a couple options. He mentioned switcher, Paul. You recently used your, what do they call it? The YOLO device?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different switchers. I mean, OBS is free. So if you're interested in using a switcher like a software-based switcher, OBS is the first one that most people start with. Is totally free. You can
Yeah,
add
we
all your
used that one.
Okay.
We used that when we were on a PC at that time. It gave us all kinds of grief. We've gone to a Mac since then, gotten rid of OBS. And since we're just using the one camera, we haven't needed a switcher. And I probably don't want to go back to OBS, I don't think.
Okay. Are you looking for hardware switching then? So a device to have
I
to
was
switch?
thinking, yeah, probably.
I would probably look into the Blackmagic ATEMs. So there's a whole series of switchers by Blackmagic. I think they start at
Okay.
$299. They're really affordable, and they're really great quality, especially for the price. They're kind of astonishingly built. And yeah, like I said, they start at $299. I think they're HDMI, and there's some other options that have even SDI as well. So they're really easy to use. They're like glow, and they're super user friendly. You can even customize the buttons on their interface as well a little bit. So I would look into the A10 by Blackmagic. There's a bunch of different models.
If we did do software, is there another option?
Yeah, as Paul or as Mike just threw up that comment though, Mimo Live is a great switcher for Mac as well. So a lot of people.
Now, see, I'm not seeing that comment. That's my comments. This is in the chat, right?
Yeah, it's in the chat. We also threw it up on the screen there. You might be a little bit delayed because a Zoom, you have faster latency.
I'm on Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, it's the YouTube chat. That's probably why you might not be able to see it.
I've
but
got
yeah,
that.
Mimo Live is a software that's pretty good, and then Ecamm Live is another one.
Yeah, Ecamm Live is a really popular one.
It's for Mac.
And so then what was my chat on the YouTube's not working at all. I don't see a thing. So what did that guy post?
It's called Mimo Live. MIMO, and then just live, LIVE.
Okay.
So yeah, I would check that out. That's really popular for Mac as well, for people that have been on Mac for years and years. That's been around for a long time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And if you're looking for hardware, the A10 is probably your best bet. Oh, wow. Dean has just given us so many great just questions, answers throughout this whole show. Thank you, Dean. He asked a really simple question, YouTube versus Zoom. So I don't know if you're asking which one should we be on today for you guys watching, but I guess we can look at it a couple different ways. Let's say you're hosting a webinar or video. Should that be a Zoom, Paul, or should that be broadcasted on YouTube online? What do you think? YouTube versus Zoom?
You know, Zoom is going to be private, so that's a big difference.
Yeah, definitely.
It's also lower latency, which is why if you're interested in doing our giveaway and trivia, which we're just about to do, I would highly recommend joining the Zoom meeting that's below in the YouTube chat, because we're just about to do a trivia and someone's going to win a Move SE, and that's going to give you the lowest latency preview of the CrowdPurr screen.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Paul. Dean also commented, no, just helping the caller. Thank you, Dean. I didn't know if that was an actual question or not, because someone might have that question. All right, a couple more before we get to the giveaway. Is the Move 4K 30X already Hive integrated? We call that Hive linked. Currently, no, and you don't need to buy a separate camera. You don't need to go out or specifically wait for our Hive linked cameras. Hive linked is going to be a firmware upgrade. So if you currently have a Move SE, a Link 4K or a Move 4K, or even a Studio Pro, you'll be able to add those in directly to the Hive because they'll be Hive linked. So we're going to update those cameras via the firmware. You'll be able to update them and then get access to that instant Hive connection that you might be looking for. And stay tuned. Next year, we'll be talking a lot about Hive. All righty, let's see. Going back to the switcher comment, I just want to throw this up as well because Roland, great brand, great switchers, and offers 2 inputs. for your cams. So if you have the 2 cams that you mentioned previously, that might be a good option for switching as well. And before we get into the giveaway, remember this is new. We're using CrowdPurr. If you haven't used CrowdPurr before, it's basically trivia. We're just going to ask you simple 10 questions. It's very important, though, that you are as fast as possible to answer these questions. So this game mode is called Move It to Win It, and you're moving it to win the Move SE. So you want to keep pushing yourself as fast as you can to get through the 10 questions, because the fastest winner will get the Move SE camera. So if you go to the link in the description, you can get CrowdPurr there, and you'll enter in that code if you aren't already accessing it. Already, and like Paul, we're about to throw it up, but Mike threw up that QR code. Don't forget, you can scan that and get access to our CrowdPurr. So with that being said, Mike, if we could show Paul's screen here, he's got our station up. I have control of the game here. I want to give people 10 seconds or so to get ready to make sure that you have your CrowdPurr link up. If you don't have it, you can scan that QR code there. We're going to begin our trivia giveaway. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes here, or a minute or here or so, and we'll begin very shortly.
All right, I'll start the countdown. Here we go. Countdown has begun. Congratulations for joining via Zoom. That's going to get you the fastest, lowest latency for these questions. John's got 10 questions for you guys. The winner will win a Move SE, which does really well in low light, by the way, Luis. The Move SE cameras now have Sony image sensors that do a lot better, but the Move 4K has more resolution, larger sensor, so it does better in low light than our Move SE cameras. They both have the new Sony sensors in them that do a lot better in low light than our Gen 2 cameras that had Panasonic sensors in them. All right, here we go.
10 seconds.
You guys are ready? Here we go. Boom.
Question number 1. What is snap focus for? Remember, speed is very important. You can notice the countdown clock. The points are going down. Answer quickly. Answer quickly.
I just changed it to 60 seconds because that's crazy to me.
Okay. Well, you have a minute now, so here's some extra time for you folks. At the end of these 45 seconds, we'll move on to question number 2. Remember, there's 10 questions in total.
One of the things we can do, John, and this is like early, we haven't done this quite yet. So we could show the live answer at some point. We could show the correct answer.
Demo.
We could show the leaderboard. See this? So I could click this button. Shows that Rudzel is in first place with 76 points. Taekwon is in second place with 63 points.
Don't forget, speed is important here.
All right, so the correct answer is
snap focus. Quickly focus the image while maintaining manual focus control.
Nice.
Alrighty, question number 2. Here we go. Question number 2. Can you output audio and video via NDI and USB simultaneously on the Move 4K? Now, if you were a very acute listener, you might have heard that we answered this question earlier. One of you great commenters asked this very exact question.
See the leaderboard. Taekwon is remaining in the lead. Oh, Taekwon knows his stuff. Look, the whole leaderboard is getting everything correct. It's just about how quickly you answer that. M2 Live Productions is in 4th. Rainier is in 3rd. And Dwight is in 2nd. All right. Correct answer being yes.
The correct answer is yes. Alrighty. We are moving now to question number 3. What is the maximum number of camera presets the SuperJoy can control via IP? Is it 28 presets? Is it 255 presets? Is it 100 presets? Yeah, we might need some music for the
Ooh,
next
Dwight
one.
ties
Whoa!
Taekwon.
Wow, there's a
Good job,
tie for
Dwight.
first here, ladies and gentlemen.
In Radiair, it's anybody's game.
It's a horse race out here.
Wow. Glad to see all of you participating here today. We decided to do this more often. There's over 30 of you in here. Might be more, actually. Oh my gosh, there's 85 players.
Wow, that's great.
I'm so glad to have you all here because I'd
Yeah.
rather give a Move SE to somebody who knows their stuff
Yeah.
and is actually learning than a random person. So that's where my head's at.
All right, the countdown is over. The answer is
Woohoo.
255 presets. So check out the SuperJoy at ptzoptics.com/SuperJoy if you want to learn more about that great controller. Alrighty, question number 4. What makes Hive-linked cameras unique for remote production? Is it A, they require additional hardware for cloud control? Is it B, they work exclusively with PTZOptics Hive Studio? Or is it C, they eliminate the need for on-site computers and can seamlessly be connected to Hive Studio?
Dang, John, that was a lot of words in that one.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
Let's see. I don't want to show the live answer. We want to show the leaderboard. Oh, Taekwon is rolling at the top again. Just 1 point above
Wow.
Dwight.
He's
Must have
trying
been
to
like
take
a
you down,
split
Dwight.
second
Yeah.
before him.
It's just the lips of the
Wow.
horse crossing the line.
Whoa.
The game's not over yet, though. The answer
Alright.
is C. They eliminate the need for on-site computers and can be seamlessly connected to Hive Studio. Alrighty. Moving on to question number 5. Hive only works with PTZOptics cameras. Is that true or is that false? Hive Studio is our brand new camera controller, switcher, and recorder coming out next year. We currently have Hive in a beta. If you are interested about our beta, head to ptzoptics.com/beta to sign up.
Taekwon's fast, but M2 Live Productions jumps in.
M2 Live, you've been watching the whole show. I've seen your great comments. Thank you so much.
Mikey jumping to number 3. It's a close game. It really is. One slip up and Taekwon could lose his lead, but Taekwon is up there.
Taekwon might be sweating. Don't say that. Don't push him.
Keep going. All right. Here we go.
The answer is false.
Hive works with any PTZ camera pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. I was just about to ask you that. What cameras do they support? Well, the list goes on and on. Hive is a great platform for USB cameras, for NDI cameras, RTSP cameras. Really, if you're bringing in with any device, if your computer can see it, I bet you Hive Studio can see it. Alrighty, question number 6. What is the purpose of RTMP streaming on the Move 4K? Is it A, to control the camera using a joystick controller? Is it B, to stream directly to platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, and any platform that supports RTMP? Or is it C, to record videos directly to an SD card?
Taekwon.
Oh my gosh.
Although M2 actually got it a little faster.
Wow.
He's gaining. Ooh. Mikey got all 6 correct. All of these gentlemen have gotten all 6 correct, but
It's impressive.
Taekwon is faster.
I should have bonus points if someone knows what RTMP stands for.
See, John, I told you that it wasn't going to be a problem with 2 people getting first if we did the time.
If we did it fast enough, yeah. And 93, that's impressive. M2 Live.
That was fast.
Alrighty, the answer is to stream directly to platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, and any platform that accepts RTMP. So you can go live directly from our cameras. You do not need access to a certain switcher or program to go live. You can just go live directly from our web UI from our cameras. Alrighty, question number 7. The Move 4K has the ability to auto track and frame groups of people together. True or false? We did a whole demo on this earlier, so I'll give you that hint.
All right. Oh, Taekwon.
Killing it.
Taekwon is still in first.
It's getting
but
closer,
look,
though. It's 8 points, Paul. We're 8 points away.
8
M2
point
Live.
difference. It's a split second.
Because he's beating him by a tiny fraction of a second here at 95 versus 94 points.
Well, doesn't seem like anyone's having any trouble with this platform.
No, definitely not. No.
Everyone is definitely up here. Wish we had a prize for everyone, but we just have a prize
Yeah, I
for
wish we
first place.
did. Yeah. Yeah. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
All right.
Alrighty, the answer is true. Of course, the Move 4K has the ability to auto track and frame groups of people together. The Move SE does not have the ability to do auto tracking and frame groups. You can use auto tracking on the Move SE, but only the Move 4K will allow you to group frame group of people together. Alrighty, question number 8. Which feature of the Move SE ensures it can track a specific person even when others are in the frame? Do we call that auto tracking? Is it presenter lock? Or is it voice tracking? Who could it be?
Which one is it?
Who
Let's
could it
see.
be?
Let's show
It's
the
our wonderful
leaderboard.
producer,
Leonard!
Mike. Whoa!
Oh my gosh.
What just happened?
We've got a tie.
What just happened?
Taekwon must have got it wrong, or left his.
He must have left. Taekwon!
Taekwon, what happened?
What happened, Taekwon?
M2 didn't get any points. He must have got that one wrong. Seeing it's anybody's game.
See, that was kind of a trick question. People might be screaming at the computer right now.
Trick question?
Well, because technically auto tracking could be the way that you refer to it as. We specifically call it presenter lock here at PTZOptics.
Ooh.
It's a trademark term. And
yeah, but this is important to know.
Yeah.
That presenter lock is different than just auto tracking. We've had auto tracking cameras in the past that don't have presenter lock. Presenter lock locks into a specific person. I'll stand behind that one for you, John.
Yes, thank you. That allows you to select your specific person on screen and track that exact target. All right. Thank you so much. Taekwon, I'm sorry that you lost the lead, but let's see what question number 9 is. What is the purpose of the custom buttons on the SuperJoy? Is it to power the controller on and off? Is it B, to adjust the joystick sensitivity? Or is it C, to store camera presets or trigger custom commands? What could it be?
Oh, 51%. 51 answers, 98% said C, which is correct.
Interesting. That was fast on the trigger there. We still have
Sorry,
30 seconds.
I meant to do the leaderboard. Oh my gosh,
Chad.
1 point.
Where did Chad come from?
Chad came out of nowhere. Anybody's game still to this day, guys. Anybody could win this. Chad, Leonard, and Andrew P.
Wow. This is unbelievable. I can't believe we had the same people for the first 5 or 6 questions, and then boom.
Is this the last question? No,
there's 10 questions. There's one more question.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Chad's in first. He only got 8 out of 10 right.
Interesting. See, it's all about speed here. All right. Are we ready?
Last question.
Last question. Question number 10 on the last live show of the year. Can PTZOptics cameras be powered with just one cable using PoE?
Such an easy one, John. You had to end on the easiest.
I should have probably made them harder and harder as they went, but
that would have been a good question number 1.
Yes, it would have.
That's okay. And the winner is Chad.
Chad with a comeback by 2 points. Chad won.
Good job, Chad.
Leonard, thank you so much for also trying, and Andrew P, appreciate it. Chad, you are now the winner of this Christmas gift. Sorry for the audio. This Christmas gift is a Move SE. Look at this beautiful guy. It's not this exact one. Don't worry. You'll get your own brand new box.
Andrew P and Leonard some props.
Thank you so much for playing, guys. I hope you guys liked it. Let us know in the comments, right? If you like this form of giveaway, if you want to do these kind of trivia games in the future, we thought this would be a fun way to kind of interact instead of just you staring at us waiting for your name to be called out. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you're missing Tess, we are also missing Tess. She actually visited us for the first time here in the office in months. It was really great to see her. We're excited to have her back in January. So stay tuned. We are live here at the last Wednesday of every month. Next Wednesday is Christmas, so we're wishing you a very happy holidays and a time off if you get your time off. And if you don't, thank you for working during the holidays. We really appreciate all the time and effort, all the support people that work out there. I used to work in support. I used to have to work Christmas Eve, holidays, Thanksgiving. I know what that life is like. So thank you all that are out there working hard this holiday season. And thank you guys so much for watching. Paul, is there anything else to say before we get out of here?
Great job, Chad. Just send me an email and we'll get you over. I hope you guys like this trivia. I like it because it rewards those of you who are getting education so we can all learn together. John and I are going to make these trivia a little harder, I think.
Yeah, we could do that.
But we did purchase CrowdPurr so that we could do this all year. I find it fun. I think we need to do a little snappier, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
It takes a decent amount of time. But I appreciate you guys for doing that. Congratulations, Chad.
Congrats, Chad, on your new Move SE. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. And don't forget to use hashtag share your vision. Show us how you're using PTZOptics, whether it's our SuperJoy Controller, our Move SE, or the Move 4K, which we use to shoot our entire live show here. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next year. Thank you, everyone.